Hello, everybody, and welcome to Anguilla. First things first, I'm not going to try and hide the DX12 bleed-through anymore in Sim Update 15. It's atrocious. It is 10 times worse than it was in Sim Update 14. This is obviously the beta, and it's just appalling. It's not getting better. It's getting worse. It's been worse since it's been terrible since day one of the beta, and none of the betas have improved it. Um, I have occasionally seen, a tile here or there prior to Sim Update 15, but in Sim Update 15, it is just everywhere, and it's appalling. It's really, really bad. So I'm just gonna not try and put a band-aid on that, but I'm here today to talk about this airplane, the Beech D18. And this is a really, really cool airplane. So one of the things that they've updated in Sim Update 15 is the ground handling. And there are two notes in the beta notes, the beta release notes about this. One was about the soft, they call it the soft tire something with the Cessna 172. And people also erroneously read the next note, which was about a revamp of the ground handling and the ground physics to only apply to the 172 as well, and that's not the case. The ground handling update, the ground physics update that they've instituted in Sim Update 15 applies to all aircraft, and anybody who has flown an airplane for a reasonable amount of time prior to Sim Update 15, prior to the beta, and then flown that same airplane in the beta can confirm this. For me, particularly the ATR 72, squirrely to handle, squirrely to control on the ground in Sim Update 14, and much improved in Sim Update 15. So the question to me became, okay, at what point can we actually start flying Taildraggers? And there are four Taildraggers that are available in the sim that I find interesting. The Beech 18, which is this plane, the Staggerwing, the C-195, and the DC-3. But since I like having two throttles in my hand and I like looking out the window at an engine, um, I decided that I would take this airplane. The DC-3 is a great airplane, iconic airplane, but it is difficult to get started. It's difficult to kind of, it just takes a lot more effort to get started, and I didn't really feel like trying to deal with that and trying to learn that whole airplane. So I decided to try this one, and I'm just absolutely delighted with it. A really, really cool airplane. And the Denark mod on FlightSim.to makes it even better. So first thing is first, left and right oil shutoff levers are closed. Let's see, parking brake is on. Tail wheel lock is in. Let's turn on our batteries. Let's check the batteries. Batteries are good. And that's that. So now let's go mixtures and props full forward. Left prop an inch forward. Let's open the left cowl flap, left engine. We need on the front tank. Let's see here. Left booster pump coming on. Left mags coming on. Turn the starter to that side. Nav lights on steady. I'm going to push the primer. No. And prime the left engine 5 times. Alright, primer is centered. Toes on the brakes, even though we've got the parking brake on. And let's give her a start. Oh, what a beautiful sound. Alright, let's bring the manifold pressure up here. Oil pressure is good on the left side. And you may wonder what we're doing in Anguilla, and I decided that my first tail wheel landing would be at St. Barts, just because it's kind of a crazy idea. Let's settle this at 1,000 RPM. That's looking good. Let's go over here. We'll turn the right mags on. Turn the right booster pump on. Why will the right booster pump not come on? Maybe because I don't have that. I wouldn't think those two things are connected. Maybe they were. Alright, let's come back down, and that fuel valve is open. Let's crack the throttle. And let's prime this side. We're using live weather today. And this will be my third attempt at doing this. Fourth attempt at doing this. And I really think today is going to be the best chance. Beautiful. Because this is live weather here from the area, and we've got about a 25 knot wind from the right, from the east rather. I think that's about the best we're gonna be able to do to try and get this to work here. It's gonna be challenging, that's for sure. Alright, and boost pumps are now off. Let's lean the mixture to max RPM, which is only going to be a tiny little bit. You can see those needles moving up just a little bit, those RPM needles. They're moving back down again. Oh, no, they're not. So I haven't been leaning these enough, I don't think. Now they went back down, so now we got to bring them just forward a little bit here to max RPM, and let's see if that's going to help get that oil temp up. One of the interesting things about this airplane is that you really have to fly it. You really have to manage the engines. Really have to manage the engines well. Otherwise, you are going to have trouble. And that includes letting them warm up like this. I have to wait till that oil temperature rather, gets above 40 degrees before we can bring the RPMs above 1100, and we need the RPMs at 1200 to get the generators online before we can turn on anything electrical. So a phenomenal guide written by the freeware developer for this mod. Just a really, really unbelievable job. And let's go. And you can put the oil bypasses on, which keeps the oil from going through the coolers, and that's going to help bring the oil temperatures up. We can watch these rise as they get up into the green arc there. We'll be in business. These engines will quit on you if not treated properly, and I have proven that in 2 out of the 5 flights that I've done. So not a tremendous amount of competence being displayed on my part, but I'm still learning the airplane. There's a lot of persistence in the plane in terms of engine wear and things like that. And now we can bring the manifold pressures up to about 1200. We'll have a look over here. The amps are showing, so we're good. So now we can go up and we'll turn the avionics master on. We can turn the transponder on. Let's turn our beacon on. So just a really interesting airplane to fly. So you've got to keep an eye on your EGTs, you've got to keep an eye on your carb temps. Those need to be in the upper part of the green range. You need to keep an eye on your CHTs, your cylinder head temperatures, and you need to keep an eye on your oil temperatures and your oil pressures. It's just a fun plane to fly, it really is. So we will get ourselves organized here. Wrong way. We're heading about 161 over to St. Barts right now. Not sure we're going to be able to stay below the clouds, so I want to make sure I've got at least some manner of navigation that I can use. To guide me if I need to. Mixture max RPM, transponder, everything's set, beacon is on. Alright, fuel booster pumps coming on, and you can see I'm using all the views from my views video the other day. Alright, let's go. Unlock the tail wheel. Then we have to release the parking brake and then apply the toe brakes, otherwise the toe brakes won't work. Alright, so now we need about 1300 RPM to taxi. A little bit more juice here. And yeah, so let's have a look-see here. Now, mind you, I am not, as I've said, I am not a tailwheel pilot, so any errors you may see are more likely the fault of the operator than the aircraft itself. It moves very nicely on the ground. It moves predictably. With this airplane, it's interesting. You have to keep engine power up during taxi. You can't taxi at idle speed. What am I looking for here? I am looking for, those lights are on. I am looking for these to be flashing and my landing lights to be extended. You cannot taxi at idle power, and which is again like a, I don't know if it's specific to big radials. I would imagine it is. But I tell you, with the Denark mod, this airplane is incredibly fun to fly. And you can see kind of jerky movements. That's, I'm sure, me. It feels very, very steady on the ground. It feels very steady during taxi and takeoff. during takeoff and landing, in fact. And I've had a couple of good landings where I really was able to dance on the rudder pedals, and it just felt good. It just felt good. So, you know, there's kind of that question. It's inherently unstable, right? A tailwheel airplane. So it's not like I should expect it to be easy to handle, and if it's not, then there's something wrong with it. It's really the other way around. I mean, the ability to control it, or the possibility to control it, is there. It's just not easy to do. It's a different skill than flying a nose wheel aircraft, a tricycle gear aircraft. All right, so let's get us lined up on center line here. We have to let the airplane come forward just a little bit so we can get the tail wheel locked. Another kind of cool thing. So let's lock the tail wheel. Cowl flaps are open. Don't need any flaps for takeoff. Everything's looking good. CHTs are good. Oil temps are okay. That's looking good. That's looking good. Trim is okay. Alright, so now we'll go mixtures and props full forward. The manifold heat and oil shutters are both closed. Fuel pumps are on. And we're ready to go. So toes are off the brakes. Mixtures and props full forward, just checking that again. And you can see we've got about 25 miles. See that 40 knots, the nose is going to come up. Tail wheel is going to come up. You see that windsock right there? I mean, we've clearly got a stiff headwind. And there we go. Alright, manifold pressure. And RPMs come back here. And gear is up and indicating. And it's just a cool airplane. Just a cool airplane. We're already coming up to 1,500 feet. So I'm going to bring the power back here. Manifold pressure's got to come back first. And then we'll bring the prop RPMs back. We'll go for 25 and 19 because I'm not in any hurry. It's going to be a little soupy up here this morning. Be a little bit soupy up here. Let's get it trimmed out here. And so I watched some real world videos, and the airplane feels exactly like the real world pilots describe it, which is it feels like a big airplane, but it's also very light on the controls. It's an interesting feel. It's just a beautiful airplane. Really beautiful airplane to fly. Should get about get about 160 knots. Well, probably not at this power setting, actually. Alright, oil temps are good, pressures are good. Carbs are good. EGTs are good. Let's lean the mixture out here a little bit. And what I'm trying to do, you can see I'm leaning the mixtures, and those are my exhaust gas temperatures is what that is. And you want to lean the mixtures, those red knobs on the right there, until those numbers peak. And once those numbers peak and start going back down again, we want to see what that number is that they peaked at, and we want about 50 degrees lower than that. Okay, see how that just reversed? Now, so 1270, so we want to come back in with the mixtures until they're about 1220. Or thereabouts. Alright, now we're at peak, and we're going to get better power with that, so the nose is going to come up, we're going to climb. So we'll get a little bit of nose down trim in. Not that much. So the landing distance of this airplane over a 50-foot obstacle, which is generous for St. Barts, is 1,450 feet. And the runway at St. Barts is about 2,200 feet. So you want to add about 10% to that landing distance normal. No, actually, I'm sorry, 10%. I'm going to add at least 30% to that landing distance, just to give yourself a good estimation of what you might realistically see. So 30 feet would be what, about another 450 feet. So that's right about the edge of this airplane's capability. But what's working in our favor today is that 25 knot wind, and I think if we can do a good job, I mean, we're really gonna have to be on it. But I think it can be done. We'll see. But the airplane itself is just a joy to fly. I mean, it really is. It's very, very stable. Very, very stable, but also very just easy. I mean, it should have a very stable, big, heavy feel, and it does. It's wonderful. But it's also like a fingertip control airplane. You don't have to sit there with two hands on the yoke, getting it to move. It's just a very light touch on the controls. It has an autopilot. I've seen a lot of real world Beech D18s retrofitted with some pretty nice avionics. I mean, pretty much what we have now, right? An A6 back and a digital transponder DME GNS 530. I would say this is fairly typical for what this airplane looks like now. And weather is just awesome. I mean, this is an awesome representation of kind of that soupy low layer of clouds. But what I was going to say is this airplane does have a autopilot, but as you can see right here, but I just never had any cause to use it yet. I mean, I still haven't taken it anywhere per se, other than putting around, trying to make a decent video for you guys. But I can't recommend this airplane enough. And I know that Carenado does have a reputation for being rather, they make pretty airplanes, but they don't fly particularly well. I don't know how much of the good handling characteristics are down to the Denark mod, But this airplane is absolutely joyful to fly. It really is. I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm just in love with the engines, with the airplane, with the procedures, with you know, it's a very hands-on airplane. And that to me is a wonderful contrast to a lot of the things that we fly in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I enjoy those things as well. But this airplane, I would go so far as to say it's special. It's just a beautiful airplane. Beautiful airplane. So we're starting to see some, we're definitely going to be feeling for it, for the island that is. I mean, we'll see it, pretty sure, well in advance of actually arriving at Sugarloaf, but at the same time, there is no doubt this is a CHTs are up there a little bit. I'm going to bring the manifold pressures back. I'm going to bring the props up. There's one thing you don't want to do. Is operate the... Okay, we are pretty much IFR right now. Is operate the manifold pressure above the RPMs for any period of time, because it will make for a poor day. Fully open. Alright, we're under 130 knots. I'm going to bring the gear down. That's going to help us slow down. And now let's go feeling for this airport. I see me an island. Gear is down and indicating that's what we like to see. Are on. All the way down to the flaps now. Alright, mixtures full forward, props full forward. I'd like about 85 knots, which is right there. That right there. Oh my word. Because the thing is, you can't, I mean, clearly you can't, you can't stand on the brakes. Because if you do that, you are going you are going to go nose over. And so it's I mean, I legit made that down. I mean, that was, we're still on concrete, baby. I mean, that was one of the most entertaining things I've ever done in Microsoft Flight Simulator. And honestly, you can only do it in this weather. I mean, that wind is just pounding. You know, and I saw the island way later than I thought I would. And so it really took a lot more to kind of get going quickly. And you know, I had to get it slowed down. I had to get it dirtied up, configured. I thought I was going to have time to do all those things relatively comfortably, and boy, was that not the case. I mean, it was, and it was IFR. That's the other thing. I mean, that was instrument conditions for about, I would say, a minute to 30 seconds before we got visual with the island, much less the runway. You know. Whew, yeah, we're pointing forward. All right, let's go. Let's go there. Shut off. Parking brake set. Lights off. We'll go. Avionics master off. We'll go fuel pumps off. You gotta be careful where you click, or else you get the entire that whole master set of instruments right there coming off. This whole thing will just crash down and turn everything off. All right, amps are good. Okay, and now let's just pull the mixtures, and we'll turn the mags off, and we'll come down, turn the tank selectors off, close the cowl flaps, and let's see, is there anything else I need to do? I don't think so. So we will now turn the batteries off. There we go. And that's that. I mean, that was pretty remarkable. And ladies and gentlemen, oh, it was almost a perfect parking job. Yeah, that was hands down probably the most difficult thing I've ever done in Microsoft Flight Simulator. And I just realized I left my flaps up. I left my flaps down, rather. So yeah, that was the most difficult thing I've ever done in Microsoft Flight Simulator. That was also the most fun thing I've ever done in Microsoft Flight Simulator. And I will tell you this: this airplane is a hoot. This is absolutely a must-buy for anybody who really likes to fly. Anybody who likes to have their hands on their equipment and be monitoring and watching your instrument gauges and managing your engines and everything. This is a must buy of an airplane. Great time. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and we'll talk soon.